What if I told you that you don't need to travel to the US or the UK to practice your English every day with native speakers? I know it sounds impossible, but let me tell you my story. When I first started learning English, I thought that it would be impossible to practice English or reach an advanced level without traveling to an English-speaking country, or at least have a tutor who speaks English as a first language. And both options were not available for me at the time. I didn't have enough money to travel, and I had no idea where to find a tutor. So I developed a system that allowed me to improve my English, and most importantly, to do it at home without going anywhere. If you want to know how I did it, watch this video till the end, and I'll share with you 6 different secrets that'll help you improve your English the way I did it. The first secret is to focus on your speaking skills from the beginning. Now, how do we improve our speaking skills? The answer is you actually learn speaking by listening. Unfortunately, many students in the world learn speaking with books by looking at words and reading them aloud, and the reason they do it is because their teacher told them that. And the reason their teacher told them that is because they learned that at school as well, and that's all because in the past, nobody had access to the native speaker's voice. Not everybody had access to the internet or even TV, so everybody learned English only with books. Now, why shouldn't we learn speaking from books? Because speaking and writing are 2 different systems. Humans have been speaking for over 10,000 years, and the writing system only started by the Sumerians and the Egyptians in about 3000 BC. So speaking came first, and writing was about documenting and capturing what people say, and grammar is a way to capture how people speak. So instead of relying on the books to learn how to speak, you should start with speaking and listening. Imagine a situation where you needed to learn how to swim. Will you learn how to swim from the books? Or will you start practicing in the swimming pool? If you read 1,000 books on swimming, that's not going to make you a good swimmer. But what's going to make you do it is by doing the thing and practicing it over and over again. The same thing applies to learning English. Learning English by listening is going to make you learn natural spoken English, learn pronunciation, learn the context so you know how to learn and how to use the language when you're speaking with native speakers. So learning how to speak by listening will save you a lot of time and energy. And tip number 2, enrich your vocabulary. To enrich means to improve and expand your vocabulary. First, I want you to learn about the self-reference effect. It means that we learn everything better when it's related to us. So whenever you come across a new word or expression, try to see how it relates to you and how you can incorporate that in your daily life. And you've probably heard before that you need to make sure that you write everything down. And whenever you come across a new word or phrase, you need to write it down so you don't forget it. And I completely agree with that. However, you need to make sure to write everything down with a pen or pencil. This study shows that taking notes by hand is much more effective than doing it on a laptop or smartphone. So when you sit down to learn English by watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast, make sure to have a pencil and paper to write all the new words down. This will help you memorize these words quicker, but also you won't forget the spelling of these words. But you need to be careful that you're not overdoing it, because this will make you lose interest in the video you're watching or the book you're reading. I personally like to take notes of the words that I find useful. If there is a word or expression that I know 100% that I'll never use in conversation, I'll still learn what it means so I can understand it if I see it again. But it's highly unlikely that I will write it down because, as I said, I'll never use it. So I suggest you write words down only in case they truly affect your understanding of the material you're using, or if you've heard it before multiple times, and that shows that native speakers actually use that word in conversation. And tip number 3, use what I call the 7 to 9 method. An interesting fact about our brains is that we memorize things better if we repeat them 7 to 9 times. When we read something or when we learn something, these neurons in our brains form a long-term connection. And this happens randomly. Sometimes you happen to remember some random facts at really random times, right? So if you learn something and you repeat it 7 to 9 times, there is a higher chance you will remember it, and there is also a higher chance that long-term connections will be formed at that moment. However, I personally don't have the chance to sit down and repeat something for a few minutes because I'm very busy. So what helped me a lot, and I think will help you as well, is to automate it. And that gets us to tip number 4. Automate the process. First of all, what does automate mean? To automate something is to make it automatic. like without thinking. Do you know the phrase autopilot? To do something on autopilot. Sometimes you're driving on autopilot. It means you're driving without thinking about the process of driving. I found an app that was a game changer for me. This app is called Droid Flashcards. It's very easy to use and it helped me a great deal to expand my vocabulary in English. Plus, it helped me repeat words way more than 7 or 9 times. And that's how I memorize words easily in English. And a good feature that I like about this app is whenever you learn a new word, you can record it with your own voice to remember the correct pronunciation when you use it in conversation. If you'd like me to make a video to explain how to use this app in detail, leave me a comment down below and I'll make a video just about that. And tip number 5, use a monolingual dictionary. I can't stress enough how important using English dictionaries like the Oxford and the Cambridge dictionaries help me be better at English. So whenever you learn a new phrase, instead of translating it into your native language, try using the Longman dictionary, for example. This shows you what this word means in English, and most importantly, it shows you which other words are used with that word that you're learning. It shows you adjectives, verbs, nouns, and prepositions like in, on, or at that are associated with that word. Let me show you an example with the word attitude. All right, let's type in the word attitude. First, you can see 2 kinds of pronunciation. The red is British and the blue is American. And that's really important to know because some words sometimes are pronounced completely differently in these 2 countries. And then you see 2 possible meanings for the word attitude. And if you scroll down a little bit, you're gonna see all kinds of collocations. All these adjectives, verbs, and phrases can be used with the word attitude. That's why I love using this dictionary on my phone, because it's like having a personal tutor in your pocket. Now, if you still want to translate into your language, you can still do it if it helps you, but I personally prefer translating only in English because it helps me remember these words for a long time. And tip number 6, boost your confidence. Confidence is something that every single person I know struggles with sometimes, especially when learning a foreign language. I know how it feels as I went through this many times before because I'm learning several languages at the moment, and I understand how embarrassing it feels when you make a silly mistake in that language. A funny situation that I vividly remember is when I was talking to a friend of mine who is a pilot, by the way. I love airplanes and everything related to them, so I was telling him that I was in that device where pilots get their training, and I called this device a stimulator. My pilot friend corrected me after I used this word a few times, and he told me that it's actually a stimulator, not a stimulator. And he also told me that a stimulator is a name for a sex toy. We were laughing about it and it was really funny, and that made the situation a lot less embarrassing. So my advice to you is laugh about your mistakes, guys. Your mistakes shouldn't be embarrassing to you because it's not your first language and the person you're speaking with knows this very well, so there is no need to make this situation awkward again. When you laugh about your mistakes, it makes the learning experience a lot more pleasant. And also another tip that'll boost your confidence is to stop using the phrase, "sorry for my bad English." This is one of the things I always ask my students to do because I always hear it almost 99% of the times every time I meet a new student. The first thing he or she says is, "sorry for my bad English." And the first thing I ask them to do is to stop saying it once and for all, because English is obviously not your first language. You're not required to be perfect at English, and the chances are you'll never be. There isn't a single person on the planet who is nearly perfect at anything, so why should you be worried about it? The fact that you guys are trying so hard to learn the language and you're putting so much effort into it is really admirable, so instead of being sorry about anything, be proud about yourselves for trying to improve your language skills and try to enjoy the process. If you want to improve your English and take it to the next level, I suggest you watch this video to learn how to think in English and stop translating in your head. So I'll see you right there.